Hello everyone, Joshua Myers here.
And I'm Abe. I'm Jay.
Josh too. Hello everyone, Joshua Myers here, and welcome back to my 31 Days of October review series. Today is day 5. The movie I got for you today is supposedly what was meant to be the last Saw film in the franchise, and that is Saw 3D, the final chapter, from 2010.
This Halloween, the game has a new design. The traps come alive. Saw 3D. All of my work has been leading to this. Rated R. In theaters October 29th.
Saw, the final chapter, stars Tobin Bell, Costas Mandylor, Betsy Russell, Sean Patrick Flannery, Harry Elway, and is directed by Kevin Grucher. The plot of Saw, the final chapter is that as a deadly battle rages over Jigsaw's brutal legacy, a group of Jigsaw survivors gather to seek support of a self-help guru and a fellow survivor, Bobby Dagan, a man whose own dark secrets unleash a new wave of terror. Now, before I get into the rest of this review, I would like to say that this video was requested by Robbie Clark. Again, I mentioned throughout all this franchise review series is that he's the one who requested this franchise review series to be done. So if it wasn't for him, this franchise review series would probably not have been done right now. It would have been probably done later because I eventually would have got to doing the Saw franchise. But because of him and the fact he wanted this franchise review series out, I'm like, okay, I'll do it. So you can thank him for that. Honestly, it's been really fun going over for the Saw franchise and reviewing them, and now we're at the end. I'm definitely not the end of the franchise, oh hell no. Even though it says final chapter, but we know that wasn't true because there was Jigsaw that came out 2017, and now we're getting Spiral from the Book of Saw, which was meant to come out this year, but now it's going to be coming out next year due to this current widespread pandemic. So yeah, it's obviously not the final chapter. This review series, at least for now, the final chapter of my review series, until Spiral from the Book of Saw comes out. But until then, this is the last review I'm doing for the Saw franchise. I already did a review for Jigsaw. I feel like I don't need to do that one again. So now let's get into my thoughts here. I will say this about Saw the Final Chapter. I think there are some interesting concepts within this movie. I actually do like the whole idea of somebody putting together Jigsaw survivor support group meetings and that, and it was cool to see some other survivors there, some of which you've never seen before until this movie, and some you have. Like, the people you have seen includes, I think her name's Simone, the person who was in the opening trap of Saw 6. Kind of cool to see her again. Also, Tara, who was one of the people in the main trap and everything. In Saw 6, she's in it, although I don't know what happened to her son. My only guess is I think her son went to probably prison for, I don't know, maybe the one pulling the lever to intentionally kill William Easton.
I can't kill him.
But I can.
No, Brad!
You killed my father, you motherfucker! Oh. Now you burn in hell.
So that's my theory on that. All that stuff is interesting. It was cool to see that stuff, and it seems like they're bringing back the Jigsaw survivor support group stuff in Spiral, which it looks like you saw from the trailer. That's cool. That's going to be coming back. If there's anything to bring back from this movie, it'd be that, because that was actually an interesting idea. Another positive here is the music by Charlie Clouser. One of the best things about every single Saw movie is the music by Charlie Clouser, and I will say, I'm not going to lie, his music in this one, probably one of the weakest of his musics in the Saw franchise, but still rather good. I think the highlights for me are the renditions of the Hello Zep theme you hear play at the end of the movie. The first one is people called Jill Zepp. That is another rendition of Zepp 6 from Saw 6, like the ending music of Saw 6. And then the other one is called Zepp 7, or Final Zepp, and that's basically a rendition of Zepp 6 again, and the track Choice, aka Zepp 5 from Saw 5. So it's a new rendition of that, actually, and seems to even have a bit of choir in the last track I mentioned.
What do you think you're doing? What do you think you're doing? Huh? No! You can't do this to me! No! Game over. No!
Another positive I have is that there is actually some bit of suspense and tension, but only with two specific scenes, and one of them is the Speak No Evil trap, and it's kind of a tense scene actually. And it was one of the few traps in this movie I was literally on the edge of my seat with, because it's just, they play it off with the suspense really well actually with that trap. The other one is the noose hanging trap, where they have to walk across boards to get to each other and have to get the key and everything. That was also pretty suspenseful too. And that was actually a goreless trap, actually. I was honestly legit surprised by that. A legit goreless trap, and I'm like, why can't we get more traps like that where it's just gore, like just bloodless? And another positive I have here is I actually did like a little bit of the performance by Sean Patrick Flanery as Bobby Dagan. I did actually like his character a little bit, which he's the main character that's in the main traps and everything, so I'm glad that they made him somewhat likable, you know, and again, his acting was actually not bad. And honestly for me, that's it for my positives. I do have some mixed thoughts on this movie though, so we'll get into that. I have some mixed feelings about this movie on some things, like, for one, the gore effects. I have a mixed feelings on this one, because for one, a lot of it is practical and not bad in general, but what kind of ruins it for me really, that makes it into mixed aspect, is the fact that for some reason the blood is pink. Now that does ruin the illusion there, so it's like, I'm not sure why they had to make the blood pink. It could be because, you know, because of the 3D effects and everything like that. Like, I don't know. I have no idea why the blood is pink in this movie. And another thing is too, the 3D effect also ruined it, because you get like 3D like gore flying at you at the screen and everything, and you can tell it's CGI. So I didn't really care for that really. And just overall, the effects in general were kind of like that too. Like legit, at the end of the film, like they legit throw a 3D hacksaw towards the screen, like a CGI hacksaw towards the screen. It's like, really? So just, there's stuff like that that's like, kind of like mixed for me in terms of the effects and, you know, like the practical effects and that. And I wish they only utilized practical effects in this movie and made the blood red and everything. I think that would have been a lot better. In fact, there's actually been some YouTube videos who have actually recolorized the movie to make the blood actually look red, like real blood. And it looks a lot better in my opinion. Also, another mixed aspect I have is the twist ending, which we'll get to that when I discuss spoilers, because I will discuss spoilers in this review. But honestly, for me, that's it for my mixed thoughts on this movie, so let's get to my negatives. The film just looks so cheap. And not in a good way, like this film looks like a made-for-TV movie. I'm so sorry about that, my camera turned off on me and I can't press record anymore, so the rest is going to have to be video clips now, like I did with my Saw 6 review. So, as I was saying, one of my negatives was the acting. Honestly, again, outside of Sean Patrick Flannery, who gives a decent performance in this movie, most of the acting comes off as underacted or overacted, and comes off as very cheesy and that. This is probably the worst acted Saw film, outside of, again, Tobin Bell, which I should have mentioned that in my positives, but the reason I didn't is because Tobin Bell barely appears in this movie. And I don't know why. Like, he has so very little screen time. I think this is the one film in which he has the least amount of screen time in. And I don't know why. I don't know why that was. I'm not sure if it was due to scheduling conflicts or... And especially with this being the final chapter, it's like, you would think they would showcase more of Tobin Bell in this movie. Another negative I have, again, is that they brought back Carrie Elways as Dr. Gordon. And honestly, for me, that would have been cool, but they barely utilized him in this movie. Like, really at all. I think there's, like, for the most part of the total, 2 scenes with him, and that's the opening and when he's at the Jigsaw Survivor Group meeting. There was apparently another scene that was deleted from the film which showed more of Dr. Gordon. And that there was like one other scene with him in the movie. But yeah, it's like there's actually a lot of deleted scenes in this movie actually that I think would have helped the movie actually, in my opinion. And then again, there's some deleted scenes I saw that I'm like, okay, I can see why they chose to cut that. Also, another thing I don't like about this movie is that basically this film became a literal slasher movie. And that's through the use of how they utilize Mark Hoffman in this movie. So basically at this point, Mark Hoffman has became basically a literal slasher villain. Especially towards the end of the movie. Like he's killing people left and right, stabbing people and that. You even have a slasher movie chasing at the end. It's like, that is not what Saw is about. And honestly, for me, that's it with my negatives. And I did have a lot of negatives there, so let's go on to talking about the twist ending of this movie, because I have some thoughts on it. So, warning, there is going to be spoilers. If you have not seen Saw 3D, and for whatever reason you do want to watch it, just skip to this time code here, and let's get to it. So, the twist ending consists of basically, so first of all, they had Hoffman, so Hoffman finally killed Jill Tuck through putting her in the reverse bear trap, the original OG bear trap, not the one you saw from Saw 6. And yeah, honestly, I had mixed feelings about the effects in terms of, like, the bear trap actually killing someone. Again, it looked cool, but the fact with the pink blood and the CGI effects, because the gore went flying at the screen, and it was CGI, kind of ruined the effectiveness of getting to see that trap finally in action. Plus, in my honest opinion, I don't think that's how the trap would have really worked, necessarily, if it killed someone. In my honest opinion, I think they kind of went way too over the top with it. After Hoffman kills Jill, he goes in to destroy all of the evidence in his lair, which is the first time we've seen that he has a lair. It's never mentioned throughout the other films and that, so it felt kind of thrown in. It's like, oh yeah, Hoffman needs a lair. Let's throw that in there. And it's literally like an action movie set piece. Like, he lights the place up with gasoline, and literally the whole place explodes, and he literally is like walking away from the explosion, not looking at it. It's like an action movie scene. If I were just to show you that scene alone, would you piece together that's from a Saw movie? No, you wouldn't. And then the, like, 3 people in pig masks come in and jump him, and one of them is revealed to be Dr. Lawrence frickin' Gordon. So, it turns out that Dr. Gordon has been involved with the series this whole time. and has been working for Jigsaw. Like, he was the one who placed the key in the guy's eye for the opening trap of Saw 2. He was the one who recommended Dr. Lynn Denlin to John for the brain operation, the brain surgery.
Jeff's wife, Dr. Lynn Denlin, she'll be perfect.
Saw 3. He's also the one who sewed the guy's eyes shut and sewed Art Blank's mouth shut in the mausoleum trap in the opening of Saw 4. He's also the one who wrote Hoffman that letter that said, "I know who you are," at the opening of Saw 5, which at the time, him as well as the audience thought it was Special Agent Peter Strom who wrote it to him, but turned out, actually now it was Dr. Gordon who wrote the letter.
I know who you are! I know!
And then Dr. Gordon places Hoffman in the Saw 1 shithole. The film ends where it all began. Which actually, I do kind of like that idea. You know, like, it's kind of fitting actually. Like, Saw 1 took place in the shithole bathroom. It only makes sense that the last movie ends the series in that bathroom trap. And just basically Hoffman is left there to rot for the rest of his days. And that's basically the twist ending. And again, I have some mixed thoughts on it. I think overall the twist ending is okay. I would have done some stuff differently with it. In fact, the original, like in the audio commentary, originally Saw 3D was meant to be a 2-part movie. And was not meant to be in 3D, it was going to be titled Saw Games Parts 1 and 2, and that's where I got the ideas of the title of my second and third Saw film. Basically, part 1 would have been the stuff with Bobby Dagan and everything that you saw throughout most of this movie. And then after he goes for his trap in that, the end of part 1 would have had Bobby Dagan be taken to a hospital, and the person who would oversee his recovery would have turned out to be Dr. Lawrence Gordon, and that's where and then it would cut to black and to roll the credits. And then part 2 would have been the whole stuff with Hoffman going after Jill and everything, and then you get like the whole revelations about Gordon and that, and they did delve more into, like, the original script did delve more into the twist, basically. Like, for example, the reason why Dr. Gordon is working for Jigsaw is, all of this was mentioned in audio commentary for Saw 3D. And the reason why Dr. Gordon decided to work for Jigsaw is because, like, after he was rescued by John at the end of the first movie, after the end of the first movie, he did decide to go back home to his family, his wife and kids, and his wife couldn't really take it anymore with him, with his new altered mind and everything. So they did file for divorce. His wife took custody of his child. So Gordon felt like there was no real purpose left for him, so he went back to John and decided to work for him. And also other stuff too, like the opening trap with the Lover's Triangle trap, that was originally meant to be a flashback and was meant to show that was the first trap that John Kramer worked on with Gordon. And it would have been also revealed that the other 2 people wearing pig masks that was with Gordon that took down Hoffman was Ryan Brad from the opening trap. And it would have also turned out that every person who was outside Bobby Dagan in that Jigsaw Survivor group meeting were Jigsaw apprentices, actually, and being able to create their own games and everything. So all this was originally meant to go down in the ending for Saw 7. And I think it would have been a lot better. It would have made much more sense. There would have been less questions and answers. I think it would have made for a much more like conclusive ending to the franchise than what they ended up doing. So that's it for talking about the twist ending and my thoughts on it. Now let's get to my rating. So with that said, I'm going to give Saw, the final chapter, or Saw 3D, or Saw 7, or whatever you want to call it, a 3 out of 5 stars. Honestly, for me, this is a guilty pleasure movie for me. There is some stuff here I do like legit like in this movie. And I will say this, it is better than Saw's 4. Like, it was better than Saw 4, but it wasn't as good as other films like Saw 5, Saw 6, the first 3 movies, and Jigsaw. So it is one of the weaker entries in the franchise, but I still, like, if I had to pick between watching Saw 4 and Saw 3D, I would much rather watch Saw 3D, because I do think there's some entertainment value with the film. And I, again, did have some interesting ideas that, if fleshed out more, probably would have made this film a lot better. And now we're finally done with the Saw franchise review series. And man, it was actually pretty fun to go with. And it was pretty fun to go through all these films and revisit them. And just analyze them again. And, you know, even some of my thoughts have changed on some of the films in this franchise since I started this series. Since I started this review series. So yeah, it was pretty fun. Again, I would like to thank Robbie Clark for recommending me to do this franchise review series. Again, I would have done this at some point, but if it wasn't for him, this franchise review series would have not happened as soon as it did. So that's it for this review. Thank you guys for watching, and see you next time.